We're live.
Yeah.
YouTube, Rumble, Twitter, about to be live on Rockfin, joined by Ian and Josh. A late join, surprise, a pleasant surprise there. He's got some new lighting at his place, so
Yeah.
love that. Now we are live on Rockfin as well. Let me get some of these. That's a little club vibe going on. I like that.
Club V-Dub.
Club V-Dub. I saw that you were streaming earlier today, Josh.
Yeah,
on,
I was playing policeman simulator.
If anybody's never played Police Simulator on PS5, it's the worst game in history of video
really
games.
Boring. It's really boring. As soon as you go corrupt, they make you stop playing. The whole point of becoming a cop is to go corrupt.
You can do it on the highway patrol now.
Well, not to go too deep into this, but what you have to do on this game is you have to play it for like a year and only give out parking tickets, and then you can start doing it.
Yeah, you got to walk. You got
to work the desk for like a year before you can start shooting random civilians on
they don't just
GTA.
let you out. Yeah,
GTA 5.
I figured it'd be your type of game. Ian.
It was the worst game. It was the worst.
It's really
$19
boring, Josh. It feels like I have a job.
I know,
It does.
Didn't it make you not want to be a policeman anymore?
Absolutely, it cured me of any fantasy of what it might be like.
Yes, maybe that's what it is.
Cop.
Not that the Summer of Love 2020, if that didn't do enough to stop people from wanting to be police officers, then Police Simulator on PS5. We'll do that. All right, so let's dive into the show. We're just going to chop it up with some stories today.
Yeah.
It's I start the show a lot by saying top story, and I was thinking about that. The top story in everybody's life is what's going on with you personally, in your family, and your struggles and your triumphs, your dreams and your goals, and what you're working on. Not what this production, this dramatic production that these mainstream news organizations try to tell us are the top stories, that they want to be the top stories in our lives, that they use to divide and rule us with because they're so clean cut and easy to take a side on. So I just wanted to start by saying that nothing that the news says is the top story in anybody's life. It's simply the top story of the media dramatic production, which that's what it's become, that we are surrounded by, that tries to shape the perception of all of us for the purpose of whatever their grand agenda may or may not be. With that said, let's dive into some of these stories. I noticed another little trick that the media has begun doing the past couple of weeks, which is instead of reporting on the regular presidential polls, which show that Trump is ahead and that he's gained a significant amount of ground among black voters.
538 has him like 51 out of 48.
Yeah, they still report on that a little bit, but what they've done, and I've seen it 3 times, when you see it 3 times, it's a pattern, and you will see more of it, is they have started reporting on the international Trump versus Biden polls. The international polls, and let me show you where a lot of this stemmed from, is it came from this Pew Research study that came out about a week ago. Globally, Biden receives higher ratings than Trump. And so this became the subject of all these mainstream news reports, as though this matters. And I was watching one of these reports that said, they closed out their report on this, and a CNN anchor said, well, it appears that if everybody in the world were voting, then Biden would definitely win.
That's just stupid. That's so stupid.
I know. And nobody pointed out how stupid that was. They just said, yeah, you're right. And then they moved on to the next thing. But that brought back to mind something, kind of outlandish theory that I had raised in 2021 when the Biden administration released the Biden countering domestic terrorism strategy, which is on the White House .gov website, which identify conspiracy theorists, people who ask questions about the main narrative, and MAGA as domestic terrorist threats. That's what they described as the threat.
Wow.
And my theory back then was, well, you know what they could do if they really wanted to get radical with it? What's going on, Bad, Christian, and Dana?
Oh, Ash, don't knock that over.
Josh, Dana said, had a little Jock Jams vibe to what you were
it.
doing there a moment ago.
Yeah.
the theory that I had, and this is outlandish, but it was, well, they're clearly trying to make, quote, domestic terrorists and Russian international, quote, terrorists, invading Ukraine and all that. Even though that hadn't happened yet, but they're still making Putin the bad guy. They're trying to roll those up into one so they can take the rights away from anybody who is identified as such a terrorist. And maybe they'll just call in international forces, since the domestic and international terror threat are one and the same, according to them, to stop them. Maybe they'll call in NATO to help them stop a Trump victory, potentially, and save democracy by securing a Biden victory, or whoever steps in for Biden.
Right.
That's outlandish.
And then arrest the Trump voters because they tried to overthrow democracy by voting for a felon.
Right, and we've already seen some of that. Go ahead, Josh.
Isn't that unconstitutional, though?
Yes, Josh, but they don't care.
I think we have gone beyond unconstitutional with a lot of things going on right now. Yeah, the reason,
because I was watching X-Men '97, and they have the UN doing operations on United States soil.
That's interesting, because that's kind of what I'm talking about here.
Well, sorry, and that would be anyone who has any fantasies of having a civil war. The horrifying part about that would be the fact that the UN, probably backed by China at that point, China would come in and start, they'd have to come in as a peacekeeping and a stabilizing force, and they would have to take over America. There would be no civil war that lasted here without foreign interference.
Right, and if they wanted to kick that off, they would do it under Biden while Biden is running the government. That is, some people say that's if you assume they actually are trying to stop Trump. But even if Trump is who some people believe is in on a scheme for all of this, no. Even if Trump was part of the scheme on all this, he could still be the leader who kind of rolls this in,
sure,
and then is given some sort of escape valve. I'm not saying this is going to happen. I'm just saying that some of these narratives are hinting towards, well, what else can we do to prevent the rise of fascism in America, which is what the left-leaning networks
be more fascist.
Yes, absolutely.
It's all projection time.
Yeah. So the British SAS was at Waco. Were they really? I didn't know that, Nate. That's interesting.
Who was it?
What's the SAS?
It's like they're SEALs. I think.
Yeah.
Special Armed Services.
Yeah.
It's like they're
Special
tier
Armed
1
Service.
Operators.
They have all these, they have the Five Eyes. They have all. So they have all these.
Special Armed Service reporting for duty, sir.
You imagine like a guy, he's like the worst undercover op ever at January 6th, like it's a British SAS guy, but he's got like a rebel flag on, and he's got a mullet, and he talks like this: "We must storm the Capitol."
The South is going to rise again.
I love Leonard Skinner.
Yes, free bird.
Free bird.
The Allman Brothers is one of my favorite things to jam out to.
The Currents are bad people. Yeah, whatever these Brits might say.
Oh, over here. Come on. Mind your step. Mind your step as we go into the Capitol. Mind your step. Mind your step, everyone.
That's why it was so peaceful. As they were
Hey, look over there. The bobbies are letting people into that door.
Oh, that's good stuff. All right. So, yeah, I just thought that was interesting that they've been hitting that narrative home, because the regular polls, it's not going to show. I mean, clearly, I don't think that anybody, I shouldn't say anybody, because there's people who believe that Biden can still actually win. I just think it just seems so obvious that in a regular vote, Trump's going to win. Go ahead.
I don't think you can without cheating.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying.
Right.
Yeah.
I think you're right. I think I'm trying not to be cynical, but there are moments where I just feel it in my gut. I'm like, they're gonna fucking cheat.
Well, and that's the question here, because if we take the the position that they've done all this stuff against Trump to stop him, which would many believe, and I believe, because Garland Favorito has shown the work of they interfered in the previous election in multiple ways. And then they have gotten all these indictments against Trump, which if if you read the indictments and you know anything about the law, are they're bogus indictments.
Sure.
The argument of Hunter Biden got convicted is equal justice. That's ridiculous. The question becomes, if they've done all this stuff, then why would they stop? Why would they go to that length and then allow him?
I think it's hilarious though that like all these lefties on like X or whatever are like. They're like, oh, I love eating MAGA people's tears over Hunter Biden. Oh, yum, yum, yum. And it's like, hey, good job defending a pedophile, bro.
Yeah, well, they would say he wasn't. He was only convicted of possessing a gun as an addict. Is what their response to that would be.
It was a sad day, Josh. I don't know if you realize that, but did you see any of the news that day? Because the news said it was a sad day.
It was the right decision, but a sad decision. But at least it proved we have equal justice.
So what is Biden gonna be like? Oh, shit, pardon me.
No, Biden said he wouldn't pardon him, which is why I think Trump should come out and say, "I promise to pardon." Hunter Biden, because the gun charge thing, the one they went after him is stupid.
Like I promised to pardon Hunter Biden, and we don't do double jeopardy. So once I pardon him, I'm going after him for finger banging children.
Yes, you can say that.
They're voting for Kamala Harris, right? I mean, there's no way that he's going to be.
I'm glad you brought that up, Ian, because there's a story that I haven't even gone through yet.
I got a knack for doing that, Brad.
That it is. I just saw this one.
You're clever.
Biden should. This is from the New York Post and other places too. Biden should replace. He should replace Kamala with Hillary Clinton, a Washington Post columnist.
Yes,
suggests.
that's a great idea.
I would actually really enjoy that.
That's a great idea. Come on, let's go off the rails crazy now.
Doesn't everybody want that?
I do.
That rivalry coming back out. The story says a Washington Post columnist thinks President Biden would ease concerns about his advanced age by kicking unpopular Vice President Kamala Harris off the ticket and replacing her with Hillary Clinton, who, by the way, is almost as old as Biden. I wonder if that's the girl who we were talking to, Josh, who talked to us at the Kathleen Parker. Do you remember the Washington Post girl, Josh, at the Libertarian Convention? No, that's not her.
I don't remember her name, but I remember talking to her.
This is a Pulitzer Prize winning columnist. Oh, that means a lot.
Oh, she won a Pulitzer.
A Pulitzer, yeah.
Pulitzer.
She says that the 76-year-old former Secretary of State would extricate the former. No, it says extricate is what it said.
Extricate.
Extricate. Yes.
Extricate.
Sorry.
Would extricate.
She's gonna use more than one kite when she goes.
Yeah,
it's extricate.
From its old white man dilemma. No one has mentioned her as a possible running mate. I am all for that little rivalry. I think that would really put some fire into this race here. I know they've been pumping up the debate coming up in 10 days or so.
Oh man, we should live stream the debate.
MST3.
If you get us some space
3K.
at the studio, maybe we do it in person. It's 10 days from now.
Yeah.
And
We're
a lot of people are saying,
man.
yeah, Trump's going to back out. A lot of people are saying. I don't.
I mean, it doesn't have an audience, Crooked Joe Biden's guy. He's got all these
He'll never back out.
He's got all these rules going against him,
Part of the rules is that there's going to be no audience there, and that the mic can be muted when somebody is interrupting.
He agreed to the rules too hastily because he's eager. He never thought. I don't think the Biden camp ever thought he would accept it, and he never thought they would offer it. And so when they did, I think they both got shocked. Like, he's like, yeah, fuck yeah, I'll take you on. But then as you start to cool down, it's like, yeah, this debate is going to be so stupid. They're just stacking everything against you, man.
And it's not going to have RFK Jr. in it. That's going to be a complaint that a lot of people have. And what they're already doing on the networks, the MSNBC and CNN, is they're saying, is it a problem for Trump that he has made Biden? He set the bar so low for Biden, just like with the State of the Union, where they jacked him up with the cocaine eye drops, yeah, and they got him all hyped up that all Biden has to do is appear to be alive. That's it. to seemingly get, because you're going to have all the spin in the news if you want it for them.
There's no notes. That's promising.
We pump him up on those cocaine eye drops, and they just start screaming German in all of his speeches.
It doesn't matter. They'll say he could literally speak in German, and they would translate it. They'd just make up a translation that was the best response.
No one who ever spoke German was evil.
Dee's Last says, in the morning chat and all that. In the morning, it's a No Agenda reference. A great show. Adam Curry and Dvorak. You guys should check. You guys have probably already checked that out if you're listening to the show. It's a great show. So another story that they're doing a little spin on with Biden is this thing called cheap fakes. Have you heard the cheap fakes?
Yeah. Oh my goodness,
that Biden is not actually old and not having problems, but the right is using cheap fakes.
Right. They're cutting things at odd times.
Which is exactly what the media, like, this is a standard practice for the media to crop things awkwardly and to cut videos short to make people, not see the full context, which this is why I've always said, because they're not wrong when they say that the right does this to Biden. They do.
A bunch of cheap fakes.
But they don't need to do it to him. Right. And the fact that they do it, it invalidates all of the other legitimate claims and evidence that he has. I mean, it's pretty tough to...
Well, it's interesting to watch these cheap fakes, also to watch... I mean, we could call the bloodbath moment a cheap fake, right?
That's true. Yep.
Right? So it totally fits... Yeah. Right, but it's interesting to watch people who are so afraid of Trump watch these things and to listen to friends of mine tell me what they see, and I have to I'm speechless. I'm speechless because I'm like, how can you see that? How do you? I go. Trust me, people overreacted, I think, to the moment where he turns and talks to the parachutist, but the reality is you do get to see a little bit of parachutist, and that parachutist doesn't even know he's there.
He probably doesn't know what he's probably speaking German to him for all you know. But whenever I see a clip like that, I always take a step back, and I encourage everybody else to do the same, because they will put stuff like that out there as bait to make people look bad in order to invalidate all the other legitimate claims.
Yes.
Wait, so what's Obama saying here?
What Zach says here in the comments, he says he had a friend saying last weekend nothing is wrong with Biden whatsoever, and it's all editing. Yeah. I was watching Jane Fonda, really credible source.
Oh, Hanoi Jane?
Yes, Hanoi Jane was on CNN earlier today, right before we started the show, and she was saying that she's spoken with Biden. This is a common thing. And behind closed doors, he is as sharp as can be.
Sharp, capable.
And he's got the wisdom that comes with age. That's such a lie, I think. But they're able to frame the media to people who don't watch anything but the mainstream networks and stuff that appeals.
Like, he's obviously, it's not that he's just old. He obviously has onset dementia or Alzheimer's.
It's nerve-wracking to watch. It's nerve-wracking. I mean, seriously, it's kind of, you look at it and you're like, that's so sad. And I don't really feel bad for the guy, but at the same point, he looks completely fragile. He looks completely vulnerable.
It looks like elder abuse to me.
Yeah.
It's elder abuse.
Yeah.
Yeah, which... Yeah. All right. So let's watch some of this. This is the cheap fake. This is one of them they're referring to. And I actually haven't seen a lot of this. When I saw it kind of in passing, where the story from the right is that Biden or Obama had to come help Biden off the stage after that little meetup or that conference they did with Julia Roberts and Clooney and Jimmy Kimmel, which I got text about that. Who's that influencing? I mean, who sees those three and goes, "Oh wow, I was on the border. Now I'm pro Biden."
Right. At the same time, you saw that where Trump was, right?
No, where was he at that
Trump
time?
was at a black church in Detroit.
Detroit,
poor neighborhood in Detroit.
Well, racist, dude. What a racist to do that. I'm sure that was the.
He's like, well, I figured I'd burn up walking into this church, and it didn't happen.
No, it just, when Pelosi a few weeks ago, when she said that Americans just don't understand that their policies are better for us than what we're asking for. I'm paraphrasing, but that's what she essentially said.
Yeah, yeah.
She I think it was at an Oxford debate where she was saying this. She said something about the fact that, it's the 3 Gs, that Americans are, or, the MAGA people, it's gods, guns, and gays. And they're obsessed with these 3 Gs. And
then she's holding her breath, but they don't care about these double Ds.
Va-voom, va-voom. Yeah. So anyway, so they
That's
just
what
know,
Pelosi was
they know
saying?
what's better for us. And that just, that just shows that they want to be our mommies and daddies. And it's disgusting to me.
Pelosi has been getting away.
She's
with
another
anything.
one that she's really showing her age these days.
She's been getting away with big tit privilege for 60 years.
Yep.
That's what Pelosi's
Eventually,
been doing.
like you said, AOC's. Do you know
AOC's coming to take the crown from her.
Yeah.
So here's the little segment. Let's watch first part of it when they play the clip of. It's titled "This Did Not Happen." White House denies claims that Biden froze up at a fundraiser event. You guys remember the story last week when Biden froze up during the Juneteenth event, which is tomorrow. Juneteenth officially
Happy
tomorrow.
Juneteenth, guys.
Yeah, yes, right. Happy Juneteenth.
Claims on the right that he needed to lead President Biden off stage
I'm sorry,
after
I started
Biden.
a little bit early. Here it is.
Barack Obama's camp firing back after widespread claims on the right that he needed to lead President Biden off stage after Biden appeared to freeze up at the end of a weekend fundraiser in L.A.
Appeared.
So Eric Schultz is a senior Obama advisor,
Appeared
and
to
he
freeze
has
up.
put out a statement saying, quote, "This did not happen." Now, this is in response to a tweet by the New York Post, which is pushing the claim of Biden freezing up. So here is the video that the Post linked to in its article that many have seized on.
I'll make this bigger so we can get a fuller effect here. So it shows Biden waving and appearing to freeze a little bit or do an extended wave. Jimmy Kimmel, what it looks like to me, and Obama are both there. You see they're flanked on both sides of Biden. They appear to have been told, make sure you get them off stage at the appropriate time. That's what it looks like to me.
Yeah, Jimmy Kimmel.
And what didn't happen about that?
We'll see what they say. Let's watch it again, just to get a full effect of it. So the what didn't happen. Let's hear her again. We'll present her premise.
Claims on the right that he needed to lead President Biden off stage. Barack Obama's camp firing back after widespread claims on the right that he needed to lead President Biden off stage after Biden appeared to freeze up at the end of a weekend fundraiser in L.A. So Eric Schultz is a senior Obama advisor, and he has put out a statement saying, quote, "This did not happen." Now, this is in response to a tweet by the New York Post, which is pushing the claim of Biden freezing up. So here is the video that the Post linked to in its article that many have seized on.
Here's again. They're all three standing up, flanked on either side. And you see, okay, so right there at the beginning of the video, I missed this the first time. You had Jimmy Kimmel start to walk off stage because that was the cue. Because when you do things like this, we've all done them, that you have staged moments.
Especially it's going to be coordinated when you have these types of personalities.
Absolutely.
They're going to be like, no, you leave first and you leave second, and then you're going to follow. And they rehearsed it.
100%.
They rehearsed it.
They absolutely rehearsed this.
And they probably rehearsed it without Biden there. They probably had a stand-in. And
you're right about that.
Come on, man. Let's deconstruct this shit.
You see the little hesitation here by Jimmy Kimmel. He starts to walk off, realizes, here he goes. There he goes. Turns back.
Yep.
See,
they whisper something. They say something to each other.
Oh yeah, they gave a little. He's fucked up.
Again.
You see the curtain pulling from the back, so they're supposed to be off stage. They're supposed to be leaving.
Yeah.
Yep. And they're both waiting, dude. Yeah, Okay, so this is not a question. This is not a cheap fake. There's no question that this was a Biden having a senior moment, and
No question.
And so what didn't happen?
what she's saying, that what they're saying that didn't happen, is that he didn't freeze up, that Obama didn't have to come help him off. In fact, Obama got some criticism for jumping the gun and going to pull his hand too early, because what they say is that Biden was there taking in a cheering crowd. Yeah. He was just taking in the
drinking
moment.
it in. Just drinking it in.
I'll let you hear what they're about a minute of what they say after the clip.
Look at this beady little face she's making.
Yeah.
It's about what exactly happened there. But that clip comes just days after the far right used selectively edited video to claim that Biden was wandering off like some dementia patient from other world leaders during the G7. So I want to show you the video that they used to push.
Okay, so they instead of addressing that one, they go to one that they can show that the right did. So you see Biden.
We haven't addressed.
Off.
We're all of a sudden we're just going to leave this other video that we were just talking about.
Right.
Well,
that narrative, and it looks like he's not.
Even there though, even in that one,
right
like
there,
this,
he's going. Hey, there's that guy bent over on the ground. What are you doing over here, guy on the ground?
It's another guy who flew in, like the guy we see on screen. But as you can see, this was also on screen. Everybody's their focus, all these world leaders are focused towards one area. And then you see Macron back there, who's kind of turned his. So Biden's not the only one looking over there. Also Macron, but there was clearly some staging done for the camera, because all of this stuff is about staging and optics. And what this demonstrates to me is that Biden has lost his awareness of the optics of things. So he kind of walked over there. So this isn't, the right should not have cropped this to make it look worse than it is, because you don't have to. This is what I'm telling people. Stop sharing stuff without knowing the full context of it, because it just discredits the very obviously defects or problems he's got going on.
Yeah.
Well,
you don't need to.
Also, the way that this anchor is talking to you is like, I mean, come on. Are you really dumb enough to believe this?
Well, that's
how
the
they
spell
do
they're
it.
casting over you, man. That's how they do it. That's how
Are
they
you
do
saying
it.
they're using black magic, Ian?
Sorta.
A little bit. I mean, yeah. So all you need is enough to satisfy your confirmation bias. If you're like if you're watching CNN and MSNBC because you believe them, they just need to give you a little bit. And I actually think they're trying to like find that line where they can just give you the least amount. You know what I mean? Here's just a little pebble to satisfy your confirmation bias, so they can just get the further away from the truth as possible and just go full gaslighting if they need to.
I don't think Gavin Newsom stands a chance at winning Bad Christian.
Well, he's have a better chance than Biden.
Yeah,
like
much
legitimately.
better chance than Biden. And I think a lot of people don't know him like we probably. The average person does not have any clue who Gavin Newsom is.
No, he's just he'd be presented as a good-looking guy who can speak a lot better than Biden.
That's right.
All right, so
and I guess he's younger, so it'll appeal to all the kids.
Absolutely,
yeah, sure. And he didn't do anything in.
He didn't fondle a Chinese kid while trying to play basketball in China.
Yeah, he only threw COVID parties.
That's right. Yeah.
Which I got a postcard from Reginald, and he has been over in that part of the world doing some volunteer work.
Reginald has. I can't wait to hear.
I got a film coming out on Friday.
What's your film?
The Exorcism with Russell Crowe.
Well, I can't wait to see that. What's your character?
What are you?
I play Donnie, the maintenance man of the studio that the movie takes place in.
All right. Well, look forward to that. Okay, maybe we'll do a viewing of it.
I murder a guy.
Nice.
Awesome. Well, this is a fictional thing. This is not an admission of an actual crime. Dana says, I wish Reginald happy Pride Month. Talking about Reginald. Bad Christian says, I hope you're right, Josh, but I live in California with all the homeless, drug addicts, criminals, and they didn't vote to recall him. Yeah.
I don't see how that didn't happen. Like, how the people in California weren't fucking just...
I just don't think elections are
Wasn't Larry Elder the option?
the double standard that guy put forward.
Right. I think Larry Elder was
the white face of black.
The white face of black supremacy. My favorite LA
or black
Times
face of
headline.
white supremacy.
Black,
is what they called him.
sorry.
Excuse me. Yeah.
That was the most ridiculous headline ever.
Black supremacy.
Yeah,
So-
they have an amazing.
Who's that angry woman across from Trump in your picture there?
Well, what are you talking about on screen here? So this is another thing CNN is doing. This was an interesting segment.
I love this one.
They went out and they started asking Trump supporters about what democracy is, and I just think you guys will find this interesting.
One thing we've been hearing at Trump rallies like this over the past few
Hold on, son.
One thing we've been hearing. I love that they send a British guy out.
One thing
do this.
I know. Why
Is
it's just
that-
like what we were talking about earlier.
thing
Why
we've
is the
been
British
hearing-
guy doing it?
is the Republicans have been calling the country a republic. And
Oh,
My
no,
dad,
does live in a
yeah.
democracy.
my dad got so annoyed when they flew the flag at half-mast when the Queen died.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, we don't have to bow to that bitch. We fought a war to never have to bow to anyone ever again.
Your anti-queen position is noted. Here's no, you're right. Right. Why? Yeah.
One thing we've been hearing at Trump rallies like this over the past few months is that America isn't really a democracy.
All right. So it's right there. They've been hearing that America isn't really a democracy, right?
It's not officially a full democracy.
Well, you'll get there. Yeah.
Well,
Josh,
what
yeah.
what did they find out? These
Yeah.
CNN people.
America's not a democracy, it's a republic.
It's not a democracy. Okay, democracy is actually not as good as you think it is.
But for centuries, America has celebrated its democracy.
Democracy is worth dying for.
Democracy remains the definition of political legitimacy.
Of course, they show a Republican saying it.
But some Republicans and pro-Trump media are pushing the idea that America is not a democracy.
The United States of America is not a democracy. We are a constitutional republic.
The United States of America is not a democracy. You don't want to be in a democracy.
We are not a democracy. We are a republic.
Is America a democracy?
America
James
is a democracy. It was founded as a democracy.
I've heard a lot of conspiracy theories. I hear a lot of things
That guy
out
looks
on the
like
road.
a
But
dollop
to
of
hear
frosting.
Americans, people who would describe themselves as patriots, say that America is not a democracy, that stopped me in my tracks.
You are hearing people say America is
Love
not
the
a
smell of the
democracy
hot dogs and the sausages.
because there are people around Trump who want them to be saying that, who've been planting that narrative.
Is America a democracy?
No, I don't. I think
Well, not right now, but we're a republic.
Of course, they put.
What's the difference?
I feel like democracy. Let me think this through. That
Of course, they put this one there.
it's government control.
They should have asked
I
him
don't
what
see
a
freedom in
Republican is.
democracy. I see freedom in the republic.
Honestly, the word democracy and the word republic have often been used interchangeably. There isn't a
dollar
meaningful
bill.
difference between them.
So much of the warnings and criticism about Trump is that he is a threat to democracy, that he is anti-democratic.
Absolutely. If they can convince
of these
people
quotes
that
were
we don't have a
incredibly
democracy, then
left-wing
it's okay that Trump is
publications.
attacking democracy.
Yeah, they threw a bunch of mainstream headlines.
Did you hear that drums? A doom, doom, doom.
Who's
Yeah,
Bagface here on the screen?
I'm not sure who like why is she the expert on this. Here's the thing: if it's not cleared up right away in a segment like this, oh, actually, it was founded as a republic. Here's the explanation.
Yeah.
Then you know you're looking at a gaslighting
but, like,
propaganda
isn't-
piece.
Isn't it like something that has to do with the? And I may be way off base, but doesn't it have something to do with like the voting and the
For a republic? Is
yeah.
that what you're asking? Yeah,
Yeah.
it's we're a representative government. You know, our representative democracy. So
why they have
we
electors.
vote. The only direct democracy we have is for, you know, our state elections, right? Those are direct democracies. But when we're voting for a national election, you know, or for national things, you know, we have our senators do that, or we vote as a state, and whatever the state, you have a direct democracy for your state in a
like,
presidential election.
it has
But
something to do
whoever
with
wins that
college,
direct
too, right?
democracy in your state, that's who the electoral votes go to.
And that has to do with like the electoral college and the fact that every single one of our votes doesn't go to the president, right?
Well, that's to keep heavily populated states from determining how the country goes.
Yes.
So that California and North Dakota have the same number of representatives, and they, and they cannot. Basically, if we got rid of the electoral college, there would be no reason to have states. The whole idea just falls apart.
So that also is what defines us differently from like a full democracy, right? Like,
That's correct.
in a full democracy,
Well, they
each one of
mean
our
direct
votes-
democracy, but they're also not talking about voting. They're talking about all the administrative and institutions that they've created, all the administrations and all the institutions. That's what they're talking about. That's the threat to democracy, is the threat to their control of these institutions.
Right. Yeah. And their idea, the way they try and project this definition of democracy is what almost like populism, like what most people like you said, Ian, would say it's pure democracy. Well, that's why they always say Hillary won the popular vote.
Right. And who gives a shit? It doesn't matter. Why do they even report on the popular vote? I mean, I get why they would do it, but it's not a big, it doesn't matter. That's not how we win it. You know the rules.
It's really pretty. It's interesting here because they make no effort during the segment to clarify the difference, which anybody who's being honest would do that.
So you're saying that news segment there, that like the guy didn't go on to be like, so a democracy versus a democratic republic versus a republic is.
No, he didn't. She goes on actually to say that what Trump supporters mean by republic is that he can do whatever he wants.
That's not what that means.
That's what I think is hilarious. I've said that to friends. I'm like, so wait a minute. You're telling people who want to support this guy because they hate big government are voting for a dictator. That's what you think.
I want as small government as possible. That's why I want one guy in charge of everything.
Hey man, I don't know if he'll do half the shit he says he's going to do, but
his plan
for the Department of Education is great. But anyways, we're going everywhere.
And they obviously. What this signals to me is that they are so confident in the ignorance of their voting base that they're targeting with this message that they don't even care how obviously wrong it is and how easily, quote, debunked the whole underlying theme of it is, because they're confident in the ignorance of those who are voting with them. They're confident.
They're also like out of touch in the sense that like they show Reagan, who I think, true Republicans still love Ronald Reagan. But then they showed George W. Bush, which now all these people think is a deep state shill.
Well, I don't think they're out of touch doing that. I think they're doing that to make it seem as though the left and the right agree on the fact that we're a democracy. I think that is a manipulation tactic. And I just think they're so confident in the ignorance of progressives and Democrats that they're willing to show blatantly disprovable things that this doesn't matter, because they'll just agree with what CNN, because you see here, CNN, they don't actually clarify what it is. They just leave it out in the open with their obvious nudging of what's right and what's wrong in the framing of this little segment here. Does anyone watch CNN anymore? They tried with CNN. I've wondered the same thing myself, if it's mostly hate watches. And I do wonder what the division of hate watching versus people who actually get their news from CNN is.
Oh, I hate watch David Pakman. I'm guilty of hate watching a lot of people.
So here's the Jane Fonda, just a little bit of the Jane Fonda segment here.
The Biden campaign is increasingly turning to Hollywood A-listers to raise money and court voters, including the legendary Jane Fonda.
When the fuck was Jane Fonda relevant last?
A long time.
Joe Biden just last week at an event to rally support among seniors in Nevada. The actor and activist Jane Fonda is joining us now in the situation.
She really does. She's a
Jane,
gorgeous
thanks so much
woman.
for joining us.
She's a gorgeous woman.
Her Pelosi, it's a tough call. Tough call.
In your long career of activism, you tell me this is really the first time you've actively campaigned for a presidential candidate. So here's the question: why now and why Biden?
Why Biden?
I would have probably done it earlier, but nobody asked. And why now?
That's interesting. So they're obviously reaching out to the celebrities, and I don't know who they think she still has influence over.
Nobody.
But yeah.
The elections in November are existential, really.
Of
Who
course.
wins in November is going to determine whether we have a livable future. It's as simple as that. And there's a very stark choice.
Go ahead.
So silly. No, I was just saying, all this makes people want to do is that's just such an out of touch. Nobody believes that democracy at stake. Do they really? Are people really buying this shit?
They buy it every single election cycle.
Every time.
How the fuck do they keep buying this shit?
Well, it starts on the presumption that this is a democracy.
I mean, I remember being at Relapse the year like when Bush was running.
The theater, yeah, against Obama. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, people spit on me and Bob.
Not against Obama. Who did Obama run against?
McCain.
McCain. That's right.
They spit on you.
No, they didn't really spit.
But
they did
celebrate.
Well, things weren't as I don't think things were as
there were a lot of your students
aggressive as they are now. You know.
Yeah. Let's hear another minute of her what she says.
Sure.
With Wolf Blitzer. Ooh.
It's not that I'm 100% happy with President Biden, but he's someone that we can work with, that American people can work with. If we can prove to him there's a problem, which is what happened recently when people from Texas and Louisiana went to Washington to tell him that they were getting sick and dying because of the presence of gas terminals and oil refineries poisoning their communities, he created a pause. It's not sexy, not front page news, but it's really important. That's the kind of man he is. If you show him the problem, if you touch his heart, he will act accordingly.
Touch his heart. By heart, I think she might mean.
Did he create a pause by just being like you guys asked me?
Pause. Yeah, just like that.
Yeah,
See, unpause.
Unpause.
Play.
You guys asked me what they said to Biden.
Hey, what did they say to Biden, Josh?
No. I'm saying you guys role play as those people.
Oh, okay. Mr. President, I'm not sure if you're aware, but these oil refineries are going into the streets in our neighborhoods at night and killing people.
They're anti-democratic.
They wanted to destroy democracy. They're murdering people in the streets and saying we want to kill democracy, saying racist things.
Mm-hmm. We need it to stop.
Mr. President, we need it to stop. Could you tell these oil refineries to pause?
Mr. President, are you there? Mr. President,
are we touching your heart, Mr. President?
Mr. President, if you mind, I'm going to unzip your pants for a moment.
Yeah, show us where your heart is, Mr. President.
Mr. President, I'm going to do a few polls on. Wake up, Mr. President. All right, end scene.
He created a pause.
He created a pause. So he demonstrated by pausing.
That's good. That's
very, very good.
What is a pause?
It's bullshit.
He tells him to stop.
They made so this is how desperate they are. They reached out to Jane Fonda and they made some sort of promise to Jane Fonda.
Yeah.
If you just come and speak for the president, because they've been hitting the celebrities really hard. You know, we have, like we said, Clooney, Julia Roberts, Kimmel, and now Jane Fonda. I feel like they're going to bring the corpse of Marilyn Monroe or something up next to come out against RFK Jr. to accuse them, like a hashtag Me Too RFK Jr.
Oh my gosh,
family.
they'll bring back RFK.
Bring back RFK to speak out against RFK Jr.
His own, exactly.
Yes, RFK here to speak out against his son.
My son. My son is an anti-vaxxer.
Irie says, I know you want to do the Jane Fonda. Look, Jane Fonda, Nancy Pelosi.
Hey,
not so bad.
I'm not as Nancy as you are, but Jane Fonda.
She's hot, dude.
She's still hot.
No, I couldn't after
that, right there.
No, just what a cunt she is.
Well, let's not be so anti-democratic. It's very.
She gave money to the Viet Cong.
No, I know. I'm aware. So I she's an activist, is what she is. She's somebody who Gets attention to herself.
I know people that are like, Jay Sixter should have been shot for treason. But like what she did was fucking treason.
Jane Fonda is they should run Jane Fonda in place of Kamala.
Yeah.
She's prettier.
Yeah, I'd vote for Biden if Jane Fonda was his VP.
All Kamala has to do is stay off the Ambien and red wine for like 2 weeks.
I think it's white wine. I think it's white.
You think it's white? I think she's a red wine girl.
No, I think it's white. I think it's white. It's a white wine.
Either way, Dougie serves it to her.
Because here's why. You can get away with being a white wine drunk. You can't get away with being a red wine drunk.
But that's what I'm saying is that she's not getting away with it though.
No,
Why
they stain your teeth. They stain your teeth.
Oh, yeah.
You can't get away with it.
Dougie
I'm
cleans
telling you,
those
she's a
things.
white.
It's like drinking vodka.
She's yes, she's a
Like
white
you
wine.
can't smell vodka.
No,
Telling you, man.
But you could
Look,
smell
I'm an
Kamala
expert.
Harris.
I was bartending.
Drink a lot of vodka,
15
drive
years.
True.
around.
Ian has
I'm the
more
expert.
expertise than us. Yeah.
I'm telling you, she's a white wine drunk.
You might be right.
Wait,
about
so
that.
what
She
are
goes
you?
to Chili's in Florida for the 2-for-1s.
Well, you're an expert on Jane Fonda or white wine drunk?
on drunks. So it's like Kamala Harris is a drunk. We're trying to decide if she's a white
wouldn't call
wine
myself
girl
a Jane
at
Fonda
breakfast or a red wine girl at breakfast.
Yeah, but
She's
she
definitely
is a
an ambient girl.
She is definitely mimosas. Loves those mimosas.
Yeah, nobody's drunker before noon than Kamala Harris. I think we
Yeah.
can agree on that.
Yeah, just handfuls of pills and bottles of wine.
Yeah, they just say, "Here's your breakfast: a bottle of pills and some sort of wine." She gobbles right up.
Barbiturates.
Some barbiturates. Yeah, she's heavy on that. All right, I think one more thing here, and this is a little bit of change in direction, but I like to think that I played some role in Fani Willis's latest speech. So what Fani Willis, the January 6th prosecutor, the DA, what she does is she goes out to churches. They're like, Fani, can you come speak at the church? And please just make it all about yourself, not about God. She says, okay. And she goes and she makes these speeches about herself. And this one, I like to think that I played some sort of role in. And all of
since
us.
Nathan Wade resigned as a prosecutor,
take that back a little bit.
Inside Atlanta, Fani Willis talked about what she's gone through since former President Donald Trump tried to get her removed from prosecuting his election subversion case in Georgia.
She's speaking
and
about.
since Nathan Wade resigned as a prosecutor in the case because of their previous relationship.
What can I say? I lived the experience of a black woman who is attacked and over-sexualized.
Oh, yeah. Hubba,
See,
hubba.
I'm so tired of hearing these idiots call my name as Fanny in a way to attempt to humiliate me. Because like silly schoolboys, the name reminds them of a woman's rear.
That's me.
Of her behind.
Or anyone.
Willis did not mention anyone by name in her speech.
I should mention anyone by name, but I know there's other people that do
anyone's
that.
rear or behind, she doesn't have to gender it.
But what I really enjoy is that she says it's over-sexualizing her. And I think she goes on to elaborate that.
Yeah, because so many people are over-sexualizing her.
Yes,
right. I'm seeing Fanny, how sexy. No, it's not how sexy.
Sexy Fani Willis.
You know, she's sexy like, who's that singer you like so much, Brad?
She's sexy like Lizzo.
Yeah, she's Lizzo sexy.
But alluded to the moment Trump's former attorney, Rudy Giuliani, made an offensive remark about her at a Michigan church event last week.
Oh, this was great.
I've got two prosecutors, Fanny
So I actually did a correction last week on the show. He called her a hoe. That's incorrect. Fanny is not a hoe. Fanny's the one that pays for the sex. Nathan Wade is the hoe. A hoe, by definition.
He's a gigolo, Brad. He's a gigolo.
No, by definition, a hoe is a prostitute. And Nathan Wade has prostituted himself in Cobb County, another giant black woman who's older than Fanny. And then he came over and prostituted himself to Fani Willis. Nathan Wade is the one who's getting paid for sex. Fani Willis is the John. She is the, what's the other word?
She's the one that when they were done having sex, she would look at him and say, "You got to go. I have to get up early tomorrow."
Yeah.
But the definition for male prostitute is gigolo, and she's a Jane.
Okay, she's a Jane. He's a gigolo. He's a prostitute. He's the hoe. She ain't no hoe. So Rudy Giuliani's spreading misinformation here. So this another CNN story based on misinformation.
Willis responded to that this morning.
Very anti-Christian behavior celebrated. In fact, they cheer, celebrated, and laugh loudly.
This came just hours
Wait,
after
that
CNN
made no sense. They made a cut to that made actually no sense.
They cheered,
who's cheering and celebrating and laughing loudly about what?
Whenever you say Fanny. She just doesn't understand the number one rule is to just not be affected.
Right.
Well, what she gets is campaign donations from these churches.
She went to one of those actor schools that you're talking about, Brad. So she never got bullied in school. So she never learned that lesson, Ian.
She went to some art school.
She never came from the
She went to
school of
DeKalb
hard
School of the
knocks.
Arts.
The one that Stacey Abrams
She went to DeKalb
probably.
School of the Arts, probably.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting nobody digs into Fani Willis because Fani Willis's corruption goes beyond the January 6th thing, which, by the way, and this is somewhat humorous, the Trump co-defendants who pled guilty, their trials can move forward because they are not. So Trump and the ones who did not plead guilty are there's an appeal going on about the decision to allow Fani to stand the case. Right. And so that is going to take time, which could push the trial after the election. I'm still, everybody says that's going to happen. I'm still not convinced yet because they have whenever everybody agrees on one thing, I tend to think that that's probably not the truth. But these co-defendants who pled guilty and made a deal and kind of had to, throw Trump under the bus, their case is going forward. Which they're probably kind of like, oh, I wish I hadn't have done that at this point.
Yeah.
Because they pled guilty, so they can still be tried. So let's see what Caitlin. So Caitlin Collins actually interviewed Nathan Wade. Let's see what she said. Caitlin Collins, a porcelain doll from CNN.
Since Caitlin Collins interviewed Nathan Wade, a tense moment came with this question.
Oh, watch this shit.
When did the romantic relationship between the two of you start?
There's been this effort to say that, okay, these exact dates are
what a fucking
are
liar!
issue,
Look
and
at
these
him.
Exact dates are. I'm getting signaled here.
A consultant to Wade interrupted the interview. They moved aside and spoke for a few moments. Then Collins resumed.
Everything okay?
Yeah.
Just to revisit the question, it was...
So they didn't show the whole thing there, but the actual video of it, he goes over and there's these guys who they said, no, keep recording, which is suspicious to me. Why would they keep recording this unless they wanted to showcase this? It's a little weird. But they go to the corner and they're whispering stuff to Nathan Wade, and then Nathan Wade comes back and this is where they pick up when they come back. But it was like a maybe 60, 75 second interruption where they weren't going to let him respond to the question of when did it actually start. Everybody knows it didn't start in 2022. It's very obvious it didn't. And here was the pickup to that little interaction.
Clarify when the romantic relationship started and when it ended.
Sure. So, I believe that the public has, through...
It's not an answer.
Through the testimony.
It's not a real answer.
And other interviews, the public has a clear snapshot that this is clearly just a distraction. It is not a relevant issue in this case.
As Willis continues to fight Trump's appeal to get her kicked off the case, analyst Norm Eisen believes she's got a good shot at staying on.
Yeah, well, all right. So that the Fani Willis saga continues. Georgia, Fulton County was the center of the election controversy in 2020, and Fulton County, Georgia, and I can't say this enough, is run by the most corrupt people that you're ever going to run into. I mean, it's Gotham City. It is the level of corruption is unbelievable. I've said it before. I was in that same jail that Trump was taken in on Rice Street years ago for something I didn't do. And this was before the Divine Nine and Fani Willis took over in Fulton County in 2020. It's not a place that you want to be if you are in the pursuit of justice. So we'll see what role that plays. That's also Stacey Abrams' country. They're all members of the Divine Nine fraternities and sororities. And they describe themselves as
Getting
the
arrested
Black
in
Illuminati.
Atlanta would be a nightmare.
Oh, I did. I got it was, and I have to tell you, as funny as I thought it was, looking over at the guy sitting next to you and going, "Hey, man, what are you in for?" Isn't as hilarious as you like think it might be in your mind. Especially when they're like a 6'8" dude whose eyes are bloodshot and looks like he wants to kill you. But you know, you gotta have fun with whatever it is.
Oh man, yeah, you better charm your ass.
Right,
charming motherfucker.
Fortunately, I was able to get out of there right before the full body probe. So one more quick thing, then we'll get at it. We'll do like a little bit of a fun story. I haven't read the story, just saw the headlines. Maybe you guys did. You guys hear about Bill Belichick's new girlfriend?
Nope.
Bad Christian says, did you see the judge in the YG case, which is the other young, can't remember his name, Gucci? Not young Gucci. The corrupt judge met with prosecutors without defense attorneys being present. Yeah, so another case against a gang, at least they're calling a gang. It's a RICO case that Fannie Willis brought in Georgia. There was some, the judge met with the prosecutors without the defense attorneys. There's a lot of corruption going on there. I did see that. I haven't dug into the details of that, but it illustrates what I'm talking about. That the corruption in Fulton County it's unbelievable. Like before Fannie Willis even got there was like awards given where it's like the most corrupt counties and the most corrupt government officials in the country. And it was Fulton County and people who operate there. But young Gunna and Thugga is what Diesel says. Bill Belichick, all smiles, and photo of first encounter with girlfriend. I don't know if it's his first encounter, maybe first
Holy
photo.
Moly.
So, you know, Bill Belichick is dating somebody. Did you guys know this? Bill Belichick is dating, he's 72 years old, and he's dating a former cheerleader, Jordan Hudson, a 24-year-old former Buccaneers cheerleader. There she is right there.
I bet she's really in love with him.
Have you ever talked to him about philosophy or just like
Who, Belichick?
Yeah, what his goals are in life?
I'm talking to him about all that.
And he didn't charm the pants off of you?
I mean, I just thought he was a cheating or football coach.
I just have a feeling his breath always smells like liverwurst.
That's why he does this all the time.
Yeah. Like he looks like a guy who smells like liverwurst and onions.
Yeah, he does. He does look like that. Like, he looks like that.
She looks like someone who is just happy to finally have a way to pay her rent. The poor thing.
You might be right. Yeah, the article.
She is a vulture.
She paid her way through dental school.
She is a fucking vulture.
She's got great teeth, for sure.
She really does. She uses those white strips.
Well, and a bad Christian says, I can't hate. I would love a hot young 24-year-old.
Hey.
Although just kidding, kind of. Well, you know.
You can't trust your emotions with a 24-year-old. Come on now.
I think Bill Belichick, I didn't know Bill Belichick was a single at this point, but this photo was from 2021, so they've been together for 3 years now. And it says that Belichick was taken with Hudson's philosophy project at the time of their first exchange, according to TMZ, with the 6-time Super Bowl winning coach. What is this philosophy project? I'd actually like to know more about that. Let me see. Bill Belichick dating 26-year-old. This is let me switch the article out here. Let's get the actual source, because I want to know this idea that 72-year-old Bill Belichick was taken by a 24-year-old's cheerleader's philosophy project is what I want to know about.
Yeah, he's blown away.
And dating 23-year-old Jordan Hudson. So this was a year ago. No, this is actually not a year ago. It was a few weeks ago. Now she's 24.
Is that her dad?
Probably. Yeah, or maybe her ex-boyfriend, maybe. Yeah, I don't know. It looks like a brother, maybe. He has a new love interest in his life. He's dating this now 23-year-old former competitive cheerleader. Sources close to the situation tell us the two have been romantic for a while, becoming an item shortly after the ex-New England Patriots coach called off his longtime relationship with Linda Holliday. Who's Linda Holliday?
Man, if I had a 24-year-old daughter and she's told me she was dating a 72-year-old,
I'm going to bring in my new boyfriend to dinner.
I would intimidate the shit out of that motherfucker. I would.
Oh, you think you're gonna intimidate Bill Belichick, boy?
Yeah, I think I would. He's 72. I think if we were alone, I think I could.
Exactly. Right.
He'd be like, I'm gonna deflate your football season.
Yeah.
You go out and he's just in your garage deflating every sport ball that you have. is
That's
former.
just weird, man. It's just weird. It's vampire behavior. It's weird. He just wants to suck on our youth.
Dude, it's a guy who's 72. He just broke up.
What do you talk about? What do you fucking talk about with a 20?
He broke up with a 61-year-old girlfriend for
none
her,
of
dude.
my jokes. Not a single one of my jokes. I'd have to explain everything. I'd have to go, well, you see, there was this thing called cartoons. They were on Saturday morning. They weren't just all the time.
Do you think that they're talking a lot? You think there's a lot of conversation going on here?
Nah, they're just probably taking funny pictures together.
That's all they do.
A lot of TikToks.
Yeah, they go on trips and do selfie memes together.
Hey, man, look, more.
This
power
is
to
some
them.
Hugh Hefner shit,
Whatever.
is what it is.
Yeah, it's just weird. Like you know what I'm saying? Like it's not the kind of thing where, like, if either one of you guys started dating a 24-year-old, I'd say the same shit. I'd be like, I wouldn't do it on the show, but in private,
we could still date. We're not too old for that.
Yeah, we are.
You'd be like, I'm really proud of you.
We're all three of us
back,
too old for
you'd be like,
24-year-olds.
Behind our back, you'd be like, Ridgeway, can you believe that Brad and Josh are each dating hot 24-year-old cheerleaders?
Sure.
What scumbags.
Irie says, Ian, I would be deflating Belichick's balls in no time.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that's what this person, look,
Yeah, man.
funny. That's
Come on.
probably the selfie right there that won her hot shots that won Belichick over.
Yeah, she's like, that's the face she made after deflating Belichick's balls that night.
Here's the story. Yeah, right. That little, I don't know if that's a birthmark or the remnants of deflating his balls. According to one of Hudson's former cheerleaders, Hudson first met the 72-year-old on a flight from Boston to Florida back in 2021 and bonded over a philosophy project the student athlete had been working on. It's a very common story. We're told they swapped contact info they swapped after landing and stayed friendly through the ensuing months, discussing her schoolwork and Belichick's like, yeah, no, I have a lot. Just contact me if you need any help with this project.
I'm incredibly rich.
I can help you. I'm incredibly rich. Yes. One source says that soon after Belichick's split with
Like, I'm not judging, but her name is Jordon. She came from a double wide. That's where this girl came out of. I'm sorry.
Jordan, you get in here.
Hey, Jordan, you get your ass in here, girl. Come
Jordan,
on, man.
Bellamy.
And this is, look, can you
guys?
look? Yeah.
Guys, my niece's name is Jordan.
No,
Spelled
he
like
said
that.
Jordan.
Look, man, my
Not with the O, though.
My nieces have redneck names too. So
Jordan is not a redneck name. Jordan is what you're saying.
Yes,
yeah,
Jordan.
that's still a redneck name. That is redneck.
Jordan.
So here's when it got hot. It's like after he split with his 61-year-old girlfriend because he probably thought he had this.
She goes, no, my name's Jordan, not Jordan.
Can you imagine?
That's when I got hot.
Can you
Stop
imagine
sexualizing her name, dude?
And that's
Imagine-
why there's the arrow saying it right there in the picture. Jordan.
Right, it's pointing it out. Like we don't know which one it is.
It's
Like
Jordan.
like we might confuse the people.
Decisions on who are fucking picking. And the,
Josh is talking about an image that shows nothing but men and then Jordan, and there's an arrow pointing to her as though we wouldn't realize.
Huge arrow.
As though we might think
NFL Pick Fest with
floating in the air
Bill.
above her head.
we might think this guy here that looks kind of like former tech.
Yeah,
coach
I wish
Paul
they had
Johnson.
other arrows that said not Jordan, not Jordan,
Yeah,
not
right.
Jordan.
So here was when it got heated after he split
Yeah.
with the 61-year-old. Can you imagine being the 61-year-old and you're like, oh, we're gonna end things, and she's like, well, did you find somebody else?
Younger?
Well, yeah, I found somebody else. It's just who is she? Well, she's a 24-year-old cheerleader, and so that's why that woman probably should have gotten a lockdown marriage thing and gotten some sort of arrangement because she's not going to get anything out of
Bill's
that
probably
relationship.
not going to do that.
And that's why this woman's a tramp.
So they privately they became more than just friends after that, and they kept things on the down low. And then they were briefly spotted in places. There's a couple like here and here pictures of them like walking down the street.
Bill, we need to celebrate when we
here
became more
and
than
there.
just friends. So we've got our anniversary, and then we've got the more than just friends anniversary.
Can you like imagine? Yeah, right. Did you used to have that? Any one of those?
Yeah, I do.
Really? The more than just friends anniversary?
I mean, that's when we became more than just friends.
Hey,
There's a
Bad Christian, I get you.
Once I
you can
turn
afford it,
50,
sure.
I want a few 25-year-olds if I can afford them, and still, if it, if it still works, maybe that's the thinking here.
Well,
The cost of hoeing is up 20%.
Can you imagine? So Belichick was spotted rooting for her at a cheerleading competition in March. He was also seen with her on a work trip to Croatia. Just this week, she attended Tom Brady's Patriots Hall of Fame introduction ceremony with Bill as well. So Bill has brought her out of the closet here, but he did not bring her to that roast, I don't think.
Was that Rob Gronkowski in that other photo?
It says things have become known about the two in the inner circles. Rob Gronkowski cracked a joke about their relationship this month. I didn't realize that. Let's see what the joke was.
But, Coach, you used to talk about Foxborough High School when we sucked. But now I know why you were so obsessed with Foxborough High School. You were scouting your new girlfriend.
Man, timing for comedy.
Gronk needs a little help with his delivery there for sure. Yeah.
It's always adorable watching jocks do.
You were scouting for your new girlfriend.
Yeah, so...
Some of them are good at it.
Who's the best at it, you think?
What, jocks that do comedy?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I guess...
Us.
No, besides us.
Commercially, technically, I guess you could say Rogan is a jock that does comedy.
Rogan is a jock that does comedy.
Yeah,
Peyton Manning, Peyton Manning's good.
I haven't seen
JoJo.
Peyton Manning is the best timing in commercials, I would say.
Oh, yeah. You're right. Okay, thinking about it that way, too. Sure.
Eli Manning is not bad.
I know who.
Who?
Peyton Manning.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's really
Shaq can make me giggle. Charles Barkley is really funny.
I think Charles Barkley's funny because he's stupid.
I think he's just I love him.
I think he just doesn't care.
Yeah,
I think that. Yeah, I know he does that show on CNN, which is awful.
Yeah,
But
I
it's
think it got
Peyton
canceled
Manning.
already. I think it's already gone. Yeah.
You should watch him in all those commercials. Peyton Manning's great.
No, that's what I was just saying. Peyton Manning's funny on some of these in his commercial stuff he does. And Eli's I think buddies with what's his name? Pete Davidson, because they do some stuff together. Yeah.
Pete Davidson is the ugliest comedian of all times.
Well, he's got that big D energy, the girls say. So
You know, Josh, he's got a condition.
Yeah, is it retardation?
We don't call
his
it that
dad
anymore.
died at 9/11 is the condition.
Oh.
And, you know, what's the condition, Ian?
I don't know. I'm just kidding.
You-
I think I heard somewhere that he has some kind of condition. I don't read
Barkley
much
is kind
past
of a
the
sell.
headlines.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
Pete Davidson, his father was a firefighter, and he was an extra who got picked for something. It's a weird story to be on SNL. And then you have the guy who's married to Black Widow. I can't remember the guy's name. Colin Yost.
Yeah.
He
yeah.
apparently also had somebody die related to.
Well, if you grew up in New York, it's probably not uncommon
Probably
to
not
have
uncommon.
someone
I'm just
you know.
saying, if you're going out for SNL, just put on your thing you had somebody die at 9/11.
My first day
Oh,
in New
there you
York
go. Yeah.
was
sure.
9/11.
You're what?
What's that?
My first day in New York was 9/11.
That's funny.
I got
Yeah.
there midnight of September 11th.
So
and
you
I
moved.
woke
Tell us
up.
the story. Why did you move there, and tell us what happened?
Well, I moved there because I wanted to be on Saturday Night Live. And so we flew up there on September 10th, and we were supposed to land at the Newark airport, but the Newark airport was on fire. So they rerouted us to Philadelphia. And then when we got to the Philadelphia airport, they were like, nobody can get off the plane. And then they were like, all right, get off the plane, but stay in the tarmac. So me and a buddy and some people went to the bar at like the Chili's in the tarmac. And when we came back, the plane had left us. So all these adults didn't know what to do. And me at 21 went and like stuck it to Delta and then called Delta and then got us all cabs from Philadelphia to New York.
Wow.
They
Good
wouldn't
for
get
you.
us. They wouldn't give us like a
So this
plane
is before the planes crashed that they had canceled these flights.
Well, the Newark airport was on fire.
Yeah, interesting.
And so we took cabs from Philadelphia to New York. and then went to I guess LaGuardia and picked up our bags. Then went to our apartment, and the next morning somehow my brother had gotten my apartment phone number and called and was like, "Are you all right?" And I was like, "What are you talking about? Why didn't you call my? How'd you get this number?"
Yeah, how did he get the number?
So I was renting the apartment from my agent at the time, and they called the agency and got the phone number. But the cell towers were on the World Trade Center. So like, and everybody's using cell phones, so there was like no coverage. And so me and my buddies, like, we're all like 21, we're into fitness, and they were like, "All right, let's go jogging." And I was like, "Okay." And so we're jogging, and you can just see this pillar of smoke in the distance. And we just thought, we were like, "Man, they'll put the fire out. It'll be fine." And then you're running by and somebody's like, "Tower 2 just fell." And it's like, "What?" And then like all the shit started happening. So we went back, we all showered up, and then tried to get as close to ground zero as possible. We even snuck past like police lines, and they sent us back. But then once the police wouldn't let us get as close as possible to save everyone's lives, we went to what's the name of that bar? It's like Hooligans. And we drank in this Houlihan's, and it's like elevated looking over the city, and you could just see like thousands, hundreds of thousands, like just the streets were full of people like
interfering with your jog.
Zombie walking. No, by this time, Brad,
we
were at Houlihan's having drinks. Ian, you kept up, right?
Sorry.
Yeah, I kept up. Yeah, you were in Houlihan's having drinks.
Thank you. Overlooking the devastation.
Yeah.
Right.
And like the street was just full of people. Like I'd never seen so many people in a street in my life. And it was like watching something out of The Walking Dead.
Did they all point and scream like in a disaster movie?
No, they were going away from the disaster.
Oh. Okay.
But I got pictures somewhere at my parents' house.
Did you see any of the build? So did you see them put dynamite into Building 7? Says bad, Christian. Did you see any of the buildings collapse yourself, or just kind of in the distance?
That's probably why they pushed us back, because they knew that we were too close to finding the deep state shills blowing up Building 7.
Yeah. So did you happen to run into Trump as he was giving interviews during that
Actually,
time?
I did see a Trump speech in New York City when I lived there as like a 21-year-old.
Yeah. You saw it live?
Yeah, like I just happened to I wandered up on a lot of weird things in New York when I was there, and it was like a couple days after 9/11. He was on this big stage giving a speech, and I remember like watching him and being like, "My dad thinks he's a real scumbag, but he sounds like a pretty nice guy."
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah,
and now my dad loves him.
That's funny. Yeah, my dad tolerates him now.
So go ahead.
No, he says he doesn't like him, but he giggles at everything.
He's funny. You cannot vote for him and think he's funny. I've never voted for him. I think he's funny. I don't.
Oh, you cannot vote for him and think he's funny?
Yeah, you cannot vote for him and still think he's funny.
I thought the only way to think he was funny was if you voted for him.
That's the way the
wait a
media
minute.
would like to.
How do you get to complain so much about the government if you didn't vote, Brad? You're not allowed to be able to do that.
I know that's what they say.
Yeah,
they say that you can't. It's the
I thought
it's in the Constitution.
It's like if you don't have your driver's license, you can't drive a car.
Yeah, if you don't take part in democracy, you can't criticize democracy.
I love when they used to say, "How is Trey Young going to get his driver's license if they have how's he going to vote?" Because
if you take part in Democratic Republic.
Yeah, right.
You can't complain about Democratic Republic.
It's just it's such a con, but it's just that's interesting. 9/11 now used to be a thing where they had like all day kind of replays of it.
Yeah,
which they don't really do that anymore. How long ago?
No, do you know what you heard? What they said?
23
years ago.
Years ago.
Yeah, at Biden White House was criticized for not attending some event or doing. I can't remember what the specifics of it, but they were on 9/11, And the response was, well, it's not like we still go to Hawaii on Pearl Harbor Day.
I drink every December 7th in commemoration of Pearl Harbor Day.
Yeah.
I usually have a kamikaze.
You know, I'll be honest with you. If you ever go, like I was thinking, oh yeah, I love history. I'll go to Pearl Harbor. I went. It is the most depressing day of my life. It was so depressing to go out. You go out there in the harbor and you can still see the oil sheen from the ships that are sunk down there still.
They didn't clean it up or anything?
It's still shit. It's still down there, Josh. What do you...
It's been 80 years. Right?
What,
Yeah,
so
I mean,
like now they just
Josh, the point of me telling you that was you could put it in perspective that you really are still that close to it.
Dana says they all lived in the in New York at the same time. Maybe you guys ran into each other.
Did you ever go to the Upright Citizens Brigade?
9/11 was a complete tragedy, but the older I get, the more I dislike and distrust the government.
100%.
I agree,
Yeah.
Bad Christian.
I mean, I don't know that 9/11 wasn't like it's like, okay, at the very least, I think we knew it was coming. Just like FDR knew that Pearl Harbor was going to happen.
Well,
and he let it happen to draw us into the war in South Asia.
Yeah, Josh, you're not Hungarian, are you?
Am I Hungarian?
Yeah, you
I
Hungarian.
don't think I'm
Josh Von Warren,
Scottish.
Hungarian.
Von is
Irie was wondering if you were Hungarian, so I was asking.
Why Hungarian?
I don't know. Are you Hungarian?
Yeah, you might be Hungarian. I think I see it in the eyes.
British,
I see why she's asking.
Scottish,
he does
Irish,
look Hungarian. Pull up a picture of a Hungarian person.
My mom claims that we have German heritage, but
yeah.
No, I think you're more Hungarian than German. I would say that's pretty dead on. Pretty accurate. We're gonna pull up a picture of a Hungarian person.
See if I can find a picture of a Hungarian person.
And I'll bet you're a dead ringer for a Hungarian. I can see it in the I can see it in your eyes. You look like a Hungarian actor, you know?
You can put that on your special.
Maybe I should move to they're in Hungary.
Yeah.
The Hungarians are in Hungary.
Yeah.
There you go. There you go.
Why do you think they call it?
That was just like you.
Is that?
Well, the guy beside him, the second guy on the right, that looks closer to me.
Yeah. Maybe. We'll find out.
That mustache. I don't know how people do that.
I don't either. They
patience,
work
and
at
it would annoy the shit out of me.
Like,
Whenever
I don't like it when it gets past here. And
yeah, when I had that mustache for a while,
it's like cop stash you had.
Yeah, when I had that cop stash, I would have to keep it trimmed down here because it drives me crazy.
Because didn't you get auditions for a lot of police type roles? That's why you had that?
I grew the stash and all of a sudden booked a whole wide range of different things.
Yeah,
fuck them.
Fuck them.
He's a cop killer.
All right, guys. Wait, I think we can wrap it up right
Why?
there. Why? Do you want to keep going?
No, I got to go to bed, Josh.
You just got to go to bed.
No.
Yeah, I got to go to bed, Josh.
Dude, when did you start going to bed at 8:30 at night?
Josh, I go to bed, like, this is usually when I'm going to my bedtime routine.
Yeah, we've kept Ian later than usual.
Can we at least read you a bedtime story?
Sure. What can make it quick?
Well,
make it 5 seconds.
It's called Ian and the Lobster Tail.
All right.
Okay.
It's in this notebook right here.
All right. Let's see if it puts me to sleep.
Ian and the Lobster Tail. Ian sat down for dinner one night and baked himself a lobster tail.
Wait. I sat down to dinner and I was cooking while I was sitting down at dinner?
Yeah. I didn't
okay, cool. I just want to catch
I didn't write it, all right?
Okay, all right. So I'm at the dinner table. I'm cooking a lobster tail at the dinner table. I get
Maybe you have one of those. It says, all right.
Like a hot pot. It's like a hot pot.
It says that you have one of those hibachi tables.
Okay.
At your house.
So I'm sitting down.
So
and
Ian,
I got a Foreman grill plugged in.
Ian sits down at the table and cooks himself a lobster tail on his hibachi table inside of his house.
Cool. Okay. You didn't read that part last time, but
yeah, I didn't get to it before you interrupted me.
Oh, sorry.
And then someone special walked in. It's Brad. And Brad says, "Hey, Ian, do you have any lobster tail for me? And Ian says, I only have this one because we live in Biden's America, and I can only afford one lobster tail.
Yeah, that's.
But don't worry, Brad.
Yeah.
Because I'm a true Christian Catholic, I will share this lobster tail.
Thank
with
you. Thank you. That's very.
And they both dipped the lobster tails in butter.
And the
and
same
exchanged
stick
them
of
like
butter.
that.
And we fed them to each other.
And fed them to each other.
That's great. And,
I'm gonna
you know,
sleep like a baby.
All poor people can eat is lobster tail these days. That's all. Poor people like.
Guys, I love you.
Good night, Ian.
Had
Thank
a
you,
great time.
Irie. I know that you're a guy. Irie says everyone thinks I'm a lady. Irie is a guy. I did.
How dare you misgender
Bad
Irie?
Christian says no. I think we've been misgendering Irie for a long time. Actually.
Sorry, Irie.
Thank you for an awesome show, says Bad Christian. Thank you for hanging out. Sharing is caring, says Bad Christian. Don't get typecast, Ian. Says Dana. And
no, you want to get typecast. That's how you have a career.
No, you're right. That's actually
you want to be typecast. That is the goal.
It's good advice. It's actually good advice.
That is the goal.
I'd like to leave you guys with a meaningful quote.
What's that?
Your mind will always believe everything you tell it. Feed it faith, feed it truth, feed it with love.
God, that's such a Hungarian thing to say.
Yeah, totally Hungarian.
Yeah, totally Hungarian.
All right. All right, we'll talk to you guys.
If you want to support Hungary and Hungarian people, go see The Exorcism with Russell Crowe.
All right, and check out Action Show Studios. Check out Ian at Reginald V Actor on X. And Josh, any other links you guys want to give out before we get out of here?
I think that's it.
That covers it. All right, we will talk to you guys next time.
Hey, there's no such thing as a bad Christian except for the ones that kill people.
All right, we'll talk to you guys next time. Have a fantastic rest of your day.